Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about what debt we owe a player character as a dungeon master and as a dragon master. And I want to have this conversation in context to the brand new 2024 Anna Taylor-Joy 2024 George Miller Furiosa 2024 Chris Hemsworth Furiosa film. All right. Okay. So let's dive in. All right. So first of all, full spoilers for Furiosa. So let's dive in. So first of all, this is a 1 out of 5 star movie. However, it was a 5 out of 5 star movie until the last 5 minutes of the film. The last 5 minutes of the film are a betrayal of the fictional character Furiosa. Actually, of the narrative persona that is Furiosa. All right, so let's talk about Furiosa. So Furiosa is exactly like Mad Max. Furiosa and Mad Max are both narrative personas, right? They are forged in fiction. They are portrayed by multiple actors, right? And they are building blocks of an incredibly well-crafted wasteland world, which the three major elements are the Citadel, the Bullet Farm, and Gastown. Citadel, Bullet Farm, and Gastown. This is a beautifully crafted world, but Furiosa takes this carefully crafted world and narratively deconstructs it. Really sets fire to everything that George Miller did good in Mad Max, Road Warrior, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, Fury Road, and Furiosa. The last 5 minutes of Furiosa absolutely destroy, in my opinion, everything good that was in this series. And I think it's going to be the death of the Mad Max saga, right? And I don't think anybody's going to want any more. And the reason why is it's such a horrible betrayal of the character. So before we get there, let's talk about why we're talking about this as Dungeon Masters and Dragon Masters. So as Dungeon Masters and Dragon Masters, we create these narrative personas, right? Now, I just want to talk about Dragon Master characters. I just want to talk about player characters, okay? Because that's the closest analog to the Furiosa character, okay? So when we build a narrative persona, right, as Dragon Masters, as Dungeons and Dragons players, right, we birth them with a character sheet, and then we bring them to life as the Dungeon Master tells the story, and as the Dragon Masters change the story, and as the Math Rocks change the story. Fate itself changes the story, right? And once we get one of these characters rolling, these narrative personas get narrative momentum. And once they do that, they come to life, right? There's something really special and unique. And that's exactly what happened with Charlize Theron's Furiosa. Charlize Theron's Furiosa was scary and tough, and you did not want to run into her, right? In fact, if you even frowned at her wrong, right, she would murder you, right? But Anya Taylor-Joy's Furiosa is completely different. So let's talk about the betrayal. Okay, so first of all, I think this movie was 2.5 hours long. I absolutely loved the first 2 hours and 25 minutes of this film, right? Because it was filled with absolutely astonishing world building and incredible road war, right? Road war. It's an entire section, it was an entire section of cinematic violence that was beautiful in its scope, right? Now I'm talking about it because it's dead, and it is dead, right? The betrayal by Anya Taylor-Joy and George Miller of the Furiosa narrative persona is astonishing. All right. So Furiosa in Fury Road, right? She's Furiosa on the Fury Road, right? she will straight murder you if you look at her wrong, right? If you murder Furiosa's mother in the Furiosa movie, do you know what Furiosa will do to you? That's Dementis, right? So Dementis murders her mother, right? And not in like, oh, you know, you're dead, right? Like in a horrible, unbelievable wasteland murder, right? Like just murders her mom, right? And so you know what Furiosa does? She spends the entire movie like chasing Dementis, and when she finds him, she has a long conversation, a very long conversation, probably the longest conversation I've ever had to endure in any film in my life, right? And she like essentially sits on a couch and talks to Dementis about his sad upbringing and really gets into it with Dementis about his mental health. And they have a long conversation about Dementis's mental health. And then Furiosa then like switches seats with Dementis and sits on the couch herself, right? And gives Dementis the notebook and has a long conversation about her own mental health, right? And then when she's done having the longest conversation about mental health that I have ever seen in any movie, let alone an apocalypse movie, right? She then, there's a point like where Chris Hemsworth says something and you're like, yeah, I kind of get you, man. He's like, could you please shoot me and we could end this, right? And you're like, I'm feeling you, buddy. Like, this is really long and weird. Like, this would be long in a movie. It would be long in any movie. It would be long in a movie that was about mental health, right? Like, it was an incredibly long, drawn-out conversation about mental health between Furiosa and Dementis. And then, when the conversation was over, Furiosa fully heals him of all his wounds, carefully transports him back to the Citadel, takes him into the Citadel, protects him against all of the people at the Citadel, gives him his own space in the Citadel, and makes sure that he has all the food and water he needs to live longer. So the message of Furiosa is that if you murder Furiosa's mother, she will have a very long conversation with you, and then she will nurse you and protect you. Did I catch that right? George Miller, Anya Taylor-Joy? Like, it is astonishing how bad the betrayal is of the narrative persona that Charlize Theron crafted. The only thing that could have possibly, made Furiosa a softer touch in this film is if you gave her a Babe Pig in the City plushie. Like, it was the most Care Bear, like My Little Pony, like, it was just like astonishing. Like, oh, I'm on my own personal journey, right? It was an astonishing betrayal of Furiosa. And really, I think is going to be the death of the Mad Max series. This is abominable, right? Like, it's just astonishing. And so here's the point, right? When we craft these narrative personas and they begin to collect momentum, it's important that we do not fundamentally change who and what they are, because we owe a debt of narrative to them, right? Charlize Theron crafted a vengeful killing machine, right? Anya Taylor-Joy turned her into a very talented, nurturing therapist, right? And you're like, wow, that's not a great way to end an apocalypse film, right? Like, it really isn't, right? Like, and it really brings a lot of questions, like, to us as dungeon masters and as dragon masters, of how do we ensure we do not betray the narrative momentum of a narrative persona we've crafted. And I think the way we do that is we have to remember the setting, and we have to honor the momentum and direction that we have set. And doing a 180 in the middle of the narrative is not, it doesn't fit, and it's not fair. It's not fair to the narrative persona. It's wrong. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. What's important is that I get to hear your humble opinion. Did you see this abominable film? Did you have a different opinion of the ending than I did? I'd love to hear it. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.